Rich, thank you so much for joining us. What is life like right now in Cookeville as you gear up for Thanksgiving?
Oh man, what is life? It's pretty nice out here. It's like 60 degrees. It's supposed to get a little cold front coming through. Man, as everybody knows from my social media, hunting has become a passion, and I've never whitetail hunted. In the last couple of days, I've kind of gotten into it. There's been a group of us going every couple of days, and so man, I took Trice out there yesterday, and we sat in the woods. We saw some does, but nothing really shootable. We got plenty of meat right now, so I'm waiting a little bit. But yeah, as cliche as that sounds, right now it's whitetail season here. So
it is
straight redneck.
Hey, are you able to hunt in the area directly around Cookeville? This is part of my ignorance around it. Just I know certain areas.
Yep. No, we got about 160 acres, and we've got probably 3 or 4 decent spots that you could sit and see deer at any, depending on the time of the day. So it's been fun. Like I said, it was cool to have Trice out there with me yesterday, and yeah, it's like I said, as redneck as it sounds, it's fun, right? It's fun around here.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah. So I got to start with this. For the first time in 60 years, the
Detroit Lions 8-2. Man,
so this is a new feeling for you. So as a longtime fan of that, and a suffering fan of that franchise, what does this feel like as a Lions fan?
Cautious optimism, yesterday, even sitting in the blind, I'm watching YouTube TV, I'm watching the game, and they go down 2 scores with 8 minutes left, and Chicago has the ball, and I turned it off. I'm that type. I get so mad. I'm like, I can't do this to myself because it'll ruin my day. It literally, as much as Saturdays get ruined by Notre Dame and Sundays get ruined by the Lions. It's just, this is what happens in the fall. And so I actually turned it off with the intention in about 5 or 10 minutes to check the score after. I wasn't going to just walk away from it. And I just happened to check my fantasy football team and see that the score is now 26-21. And I'm like, all right, I'm going back. I'm ready to get heartbroken again. And so I turned it back on, and sure enough, we've got the ball with 2.5 minutes, and man, it drove the field. It was it's just a different Lions team. I hate to, years past that would, we'd come back and then get within 20 yards and then kick a field goal or something and be down and lose. But it feels different, and I hate to go off emotion and feel, but like I said, they keep surprising me in a good way. Usually we would lose these close games, and man, I'm happy that Goff's doing this. He had a rough game yesterday, but bounced back at the end of the game, and man, I just love MCDC. So Dan Campbell is man, he's awesome.
Love
awesome.
that guy. I would run through a wall for that dude. What a great coach.
Me too. What a dude.
It's a great fit.
Yeah, I'm fired up. We got some tools. We got offensive line solid, which really in any type of football, that's what you need. And then, if we can get Goff to, just do what he does and do his thing. And then our defense plays well, I think we'll be all right. So like I said, we got the tools on offense. You got 2 good running backs. You got a bunch of good receivers. Amon-Ra, crazy name, but he's so good. So good.
I'm a Laporta fan too. He's
been great. He's been great. I was very angry that we did not take Michael Mayer. I'm a Notre Dame guy, so to have Notre Dame and Detroit in the same team would be combined would be awesome. And so I was very angry, but then man, Laporta's been very, very solid. I'm very happy about that pickup.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Well, let's shift gears to some CrossFit stuff, and we'll get into some other things after that. But how did you know that it was time to just step away from competing?
Yeah, I just gotten to where it was still fun. Like I said, I still enjoy getting in there and doing CrossFit every day, but the competitive side of it had just kind of lost. I don't want to say it lost. It's lost my love for it by any means, but I just knew it was time for something different, time for a new challenge. And this last year I did the Masters stuff and thought, hey, let me just see what it does if it reignites that kind of fire individual, and did the qualifiers, and I was like, it's all right. What I really enjoyed was pushing all the other athletes in our camp and trying to get them onto the games, having Easy there, Josh. And it was just a ton of fun to do that. And then once I kind of made it, I was like, nah, I'm good, So I don't enjoy the individual side of it anymore, really. I like the teams, but it just gotten to the point where I was like, I wanted to try a different challenge, and that's kind of where the Leadville thing came in this last year.
Yeah, and that was going to be my question right after was combination of both the introduction into some of the like enduro mountain biking with Leadville, and also getting to almost kind of scratch the itch from a more like leadership role, like you mentioned, getting to work with those athletes and still be able to train, and work hard day in and day out, and kind of have the almost like those like locker room moments, where you're just kind of in the grind of it all. But at the end of the day, it's for a purpose outside of yourself, and then you get to go, ride some mountain bikes. And was that natural for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think I as a person need something to train for. I'm not like a huge goals oriented guy. My goal always was to win the CrossFit Games. There was no like, middle goal, anything that I was kind of shooting for. And so I need something to aim at. I need something to kind of train for. And so Leadville for me was that. I felt like I could still suffer with athletes that were here grinding every day. And then I could, if they needed something, it's hard for me to stand over or interject in places I don't feel like they need me to, because I was never that style of athlete. So it's hard for me, and I'm still learning that. I want them to feel, I don't want them to feel like, hey, you have to come to me if you need something. It's more of like if you need something, come to me. I'm not a rah-rah pump you up type guy. I'm more of a like, hey, I'm going to get in there. I'm going to grind with you. I'm going to do with you. It's kind of my leadership style. It's the way my parents were. They were never going to tell us something they weren't going to do. And so I'm a very, like I said, do as I do, and I'll get in there with you. I'm not going to ask you to do anything. So yeah, I think this year where I was kind of detached from them competing, I was like, oh, if I do Leadville, then I can still be grinding and feel like I'm still part of the group. And so I need to probably do a better job of like, hey guys, what do you need from me? How can I help? Because when I did that, I got a whole lot more kind of feedback and more, people asking for things. And I was like, dang, I should have kind of popped in there a little bit sooner.
Yeah. You're obviously around a lot of competitive athletes, a lot of really talented athletes. Is there anybody in your circle or anybody you've seen that reminds you of yourself? And if so, why?
Oh man, I think there's everybody has bits and pieces. Man, I think, I spent a lot of time with Angelo these times. Mm-hmm. I'd say Angelo has got that kind of field awareness, a lot like I did, I guess, of he's not gonna, in training, we always joke about we're practice. We're not going to be a practice player. We're more game time moments. Like you see Angelo kind of shine when the lights are on versus he may get his, lack of better term, shit pushed in, doing a workout in here. But once those lights turn on, man, Angelo's a gamer and it's fun to watch. And, him being around for so long, I think he's kind of taken that from me. And we've spent a lot of time together and a lot more over the last couple of years. So, I think each and every one, Luke did incredible this year at the games and at semifinals where I thought, coming in, I was like, oh man, he's, he does just dumb things, and he did exactly what he needed to do at semifinals to get to the games. And so it was cool to watch him. And I think one of the people that has the most talent in our group is Guy. If we can just get him bought in and going, he's the potential is incredible with Guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see, he has, I think everyone recognizes it, right? There's like you talk about it in sports when someone has that like next level like step, like whether it's that first step in football or the ability to pivot and change in like ball sports. Like Guy has that little extra something that it's like hard to quantify.
You can't train that. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. What has kind of been the focus for him to be able to get that? Because I think everyone kind of assumed he would just walk through South America, and I think that was probably one of the bigger shocks this season is seeing him not make it out.
Yeah, I think the tough spot was like 2 spots. He didn't do bad. He mid-pack kind of on one event, not even, but it was just those guys ahead of him would not slip up. And so I think, the big thing for him is doing hard things and mentally challenging things. He's got the raw talent, and, we see him kind of struggle with endurance events, but he's not bad at endurance stuff. You get him out and doing endurance stuff. I think it's more just he gets either nervous or gets in his head a little bit. But man, I'm fired up. He's working with Jake Foster, one of our other coaches around here, and Jake's been hammering kind of his longer endurance type stuff because we know if he didn't touch a barbell for a year, he'd probably be fine. So I'm excited to see him. He's bought in and agrees and is doing what Jake tells him. So I'm excited to see it.
How is just games training or training in general as a games athlete changed since the time, you were doing it and winning your 4 CrossFit games to where it is now on a daily basis for athletes?
I think for here, it's a lot more group training. When I was doing it, I was by myself a lot, and then I kind of had different people coming in throughout the day to push me, and they were just kind of everyday athletes, but it was a ton of fun. We had a ton of fun, and so I think that's kind of the big thing we're trying to still promote here is like working out with people. It's not as much fun when you're working out by yourself, like anything else, and like CrossFit in general. It's better when you're with other people, and so we kind of where I haven't been games training as much. We weren't working out in big groups. So we started kind of a Wednesday morning. We might have 20 or 30 athletes in there all working out together. And so it's been pretty fun, and try to keep it light because it might every once in a while get a little too, you can run each other into the ground pretty easily around here. It's just what happens.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that kind of amazes you at this point? Because you've seen a pretty cool evolution of the sport, both from the training standpoint, from the growth of the sport as a whole, even to like the what an affiliate or like a brand really looks like. Because going back, I think 2010, you maybe had like Invictus as like a gym brand type thing, but now we've seen the rise of Mayhem and everything that you guys have done and all these other brands here, and you've been like a pretty core part of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been cool to be a part of that and a part of the evolution, and it's crazy just to think about and look back at, and I always kind of joke with people when people ask me about training and, would I go back and change anything? And I'm like, no, I wouldn't really change it. We did way too much of certain things in the beginning. And it's nice to, I hate to say, oh, back in my day, we didn't have all these, different things, different machines. And, but the way we did more cardio is pick up a barbell more times or, move your body weight more times. But I think we learned a bunch of things doing that. And I'm kind of one of those guys that, do as I say, not as I did or anything like that. So got to figure it out myself and make those mistakes. And man, it's cool to see kind of just the evolution of the sport, the evolution of the community. But even in the evolution of the community, you still we haven't lost that, togetherness, the real community side of it. And that's kind of the cool thing that I've noticed. The more and more I travel, the more and more different places I go. Like me and Sean were talking about going to Clemson. Oh. And we stopped at a Mayhem affiliate within 30 minutes of there. It was at a YMCA, and it was just cool to see people, getting in there, grinding on Saturday morning and on game day. And Trice thinks he's funny. He's giggling. And so it's just cool, man. It doesn't matter where we go. And I've literally been across the world, and all the CrossFit communities are the same no matter where you go. So,
well, you started as, as a gym, and now CrossFit Mayhem is a worldwide brand. When did you know that it was starting to move in that direction?
Oh man. I tell the story every time at Train with Rich that, every year after I'd either win the CrossFit Games or get second, whatever it was, that I thought I was going to have to go to the fire department back to the fire department the next year. And so I think it was until probably 2019, 2020, I was like, all right, maybe I won't be able to go back to the fire department. One, because I'm getting too old, and two, this thing's starting to, kind of make its own thing. And so we have an incredible team around here, and, I wouldn't be able to do it without them, having Josh here at actual Mayhem, having, kind of our Mayhem athlete team with Jake and Darren doing the affiliate stuff, Christy. And so, man, it's in apparel. So, we could keep going on and media and all that stuff. So we've definitely been blessed. We've definitely been, it's been a good run for sure. And it's been fun last couple of years there's a little less stress. Obviously we want to keep getting better and keep providing more and more things, or better things, I guess. And, so it's been cool. It's been a wild ride to think about it though, back 2010.
Yeah. We actually just watched the 2010 finale with Spieler.
Oh man.
And
let's not talk about that.
I mean, rope climbs notwithstanding, it looked like a completely different sport. There weren't lanes. It was
mass chaos. Here, you go there. Here, you do this. Hey, I don't even know what we're doing. I remember when Dave said the workout, I think I was the last one on the floor, and the only reason I knew to do push-ups is I started looking around. So it was interesting.
Yeah, and, you kind of have to go through those spots to get, to.
You really do. Yeah, like I said, it's just it lets us know how far we've come. So
For sure. But with that in mind, I mean, what are maybe some things from the brand business standpoint that have really become like pillars along the way? Like whether it was like, hey, Sean and I used to tell this story. Like the first time we saw someone wearing one of our podcast t-shirts, it was like, that's kind of weird. I didn't think anyone would buy a t-shirt from us. Is there anything like that for you guys that has now become such an integral part of like the success of the business? Sheesh.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Every time we go to semifinals, you'll just see people wearing our shorts on field or on the field of play. You're like, man, we're competing against other people wearing our stuff, which is kind of weird. I remember Andrea and Taylor were the ones that kind of pointed that out the first time. They're like, because we always kind of have this mentality of like when we step on the field, nobody's our friend. And then when you look next to you, two of the guys are wearing our shorts. I'm like, it's kind of hard
versus everybody.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, all right, well, and then, I guess it was 2 years ago when we first did the basketball jerseys and just looking out in the crowd and you're like, man, that's pretty cool. There's a lot of basketball jerseys out there. So those things kind of popped out a little bit more than, just a regular t-shirt or anything like that. So I think it's those things. And then, man, anytime we do a train with Rich and it fills up and I'm like, man, I don't know if I'd ever do that. Like pay the money to go hang out with, I guess I think back to like Barry Sanders would be the guy I'd probably pay for a weekend to go hang out with Barry Sanders as a kid. So I get it.
That's fair. New documentary out too.
I can't wait. Was that out yet?
I don't know if it's out.
I think it's like this week. I think I remember seeing the video for it, so I'm fired up. I mean, we all know why he retired, but
the fact it is a tragedy that guy does not have a Super Bowl ring.
It blows my mind. He's the greatest running back of all time.
No question. What do you think the Mayhem brand looks like in 5 years?
Oh man, I don't know. I hope I hope we keep doing the things that we're doing, and we've got kind of our 4 things: faith, family, fitness, service, and as long as we're still doing those same things and impacting people in a positive way through fitness and community, I think then we're doing exactly what we need to be doing. I think, Ben, I think all these different brands and stuff try to have their own flavor. We're just doing CrossFit and we've got an incredible community to support that. Darren, and like I said, I keep coming back to what they do from the back of house, all of our people. And, man, I think we just keep doing what we're doing. And hopefully I would like to get an individual athlete from one of our places on the podium. That would be great. It's tough. Everybody wants to look at all these different, camps and talk trash about stuff, but it's hard to be the best in the world at anything is pretty damn hard. So, like I said, I just want that for our athletes. I don't even really want it for us. I just want it for our athletes. So it's,
it's and to be able to maintain it too. Like, I think honestly, I think we got a little spoiled in some of the early years, like seeing some of the long runs, yourself included, that you get treated to, and then you look back on it later on, you're like, man, those dynasties are crazy, and it's hard to replicate.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you got more and more things impacted. You've got so many more variables that you can't control, and so it's it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. The one of the pillars you mentioned, service. I know you guys have done some cool stuff, whether it's like Mayhem for Mustard Seed in the past. And it always seems like every time I look online, you guys got something cool coming down the pipe. Is there anything on that front, whether it's new events you guys are trying to go work with or service-based like projects you're working on?
I mean, we've got Mayhem Mission now, and so we kind of have those kind of 4 core events that we do. We've got Mayhem for Mustard Seed. Wow. Coming up in December. It's all online this year. I want to bring it back full-time next year. But yeah, I mean, the big thing is like we've got such an incredible community. We keep coming back to that. CrossFit itself, but our Mayhem affiliates and all of our individuals that do our Mayhem athlete stuff. And so, man, if we can impact the world, like I said, in a positive way, I'm all for it. And so, I feel bad at times. It feels like we're selling stuff at all times, but really we're just giving the money, to people in need. So that's the hard part. We just did the cancer event this last weekend at Mayhem. So it was cool. It was a good turnout and a ton of fun out there. So, it's so cool. Like I said, we've got, man, and I come back to Revo, one of the guys at the gym. He has this thing. It's called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. So they take raw lumber and then through I think it's like 11 different stations people work. He makes beds. And so it's for kids in the area that kind of sleep on the floor or sleep on a couch. People can apply for these beds. And man, it was such a cool thing to see 300 people, not even just at the gym. People from the community show up. We built beds at the gym. And then, I worked at a station for a couple hours where we were just making the headboards. And then I made the kids go with me to actually deliver the beds, just to give them some perspective. And man, it was just so cool. One thing's really cool is watching your 5-year-old use power tools. But then, just to see them like ask questions like, Dad, what, what's going on here? What's this? What's that? And I'm like, you got it pretty good. And so, the 5 and 6-year-old probably don't recognize it as well, but Lakeland's she's 9 and she's getting to it. So that was cool.
Yeah. Along those lines, I heard you talking to Jason Khalipa about, raising your son. And as a father of a young son, I always like to pick people's brains about, how they're raising their kids. And you mentioned, protect your sister.
Yeah.
That was one thing you guys talked about, but, other than like the physical aspect of that, protect your sister, what are some of the other things that go along with that you're trying to instill in him?
Yeah. I mean, I think of his sister almost as an extension of, or I guess people that are getting, are weaker or, are in danger or something like that, to be a protector, not be the one that is always the aggressor. Obviously in some situations you might need to, so you're not that, but not to go pick a fight. No, I'm not preaching, hey, but if you see someone going after your sister or bothering your sister and she doesn't like it, then I want you to step in. And that extends to anybody that's, kind of getting pushed around. And so, man, it's hard. It's hard in this day and age to you can't really say that half the time because people, it just depends on, I guess, the crowd you're around. But man, I don't want my kid to be a bully, but I also don't want my kid to be a soft target. And so there's some middle ground in there. And I feel like, I would like to think that everything can be solved with words, but we all know that at no point that's not always going to happen. So if he's just want him to be ready, and like I said, to protect. That's our big thing, and that's kind of through. I've just kind of figured out protect is in my nature, and so I want to instill that and make sure all my kids really, my girls too. I don't want them to be mean girls. I want them to be girls that are protectors as well. So. It's tough, man. Being a parent is the most incredible job on this planet, but it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah. What along those lines, what are the biggest challenges for you right now as a dad?
I think just making sure that I'm there. When they need me, I'm there. It's I'm available at all times. You see my kids are in and around and all that at all time, and I try to be consistent. And like I said, if they need me, I'm here, and if they don't need me, then I'm not far away. So that's what I always appreciated about my parents is they were just always there. And if I needed something, they were. And me and Hillary always, we were talking about. I forgot about what we were talking about, and she's like, said something. I'm like, yeah, me and my dad have never really had a deep, meaningful conversation, but I knew he loved me at no point. And so it's just different generations, and so at no point, like I said, do I ever doubt that my father loved me or anything like that. But we just, we were around each other. We just didn't talk, we were right next to each other working on something or building something. And, but at no point did we ever, how you feel today or anything like that. So it's weird, and I want Trice and my girls to have that. It's just different generations.
Yeah. So. And I also think if you are the bridge generation between two vastly different, even you look at between our parents' generation and where this next age is, and digital media and all like that, it's almost you have a foot in both, so it's really hard.
It really,
to touch on one. And I don't have kids. I hope to have some one day, but it's a difficult thing to translate to anyone at that point.
It really is. I'm like, get off that iPad. You don't need to use that. And then I'm like, you probably need to learn how to use that thing. It's hard, I'm like, we don't need to, we probably need those, so we try to limit screen time as much as we can, because here's the deal. And I was talking to one of the guys, Robbie Kroger, he's Blood Origins. It's a nonprofit conservation, organization, and he was talking about, I forgot who he was talking to, but he's like, we're one generation from people not knowing how to camp, actually really camp outside. If you think about it, that's bizarre to me, because we used to spend every weekend outside. And so it's they've got to learn those skills. They've got to learn, it's a tough generation. These, luckily for us, we had like you said, we had one foot without technology for probably half my life. And then all of a sudden we had technology. So we're right there in the middle.
Yeah, I can't imagine, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Like, I didn't grow up with social media.
Oh, no way.
And I can't even imagine what that would be like. And I don't know.
My life would be destroyed.
I don't know how I'm going to deal with that, because it's just a part of life now.
It's tough, man. And luckily we have people that, run mine, because I've been so detached to it, and it's been amazing, but it's a necessary kind of, I don't want to say evil, but man, I mean, it's evil at the moment for me, but we're getting death threats. But
are you serious?
Oh man. No, I wouldn't call them death threats,
because the internet is usually a very reasonable place.
Right. God. Yeah. I mean, I just can't wait till it goes on YouTube, and then we get the real people. God. So, I mean, we've had definite, like, I hope that gun malfunctions, like, and kills you, that type of thing. And you say it to me, but say it to my wife, and we're going to have real problems if I find out who you are and actually who you are. Then, we're going to have some real problems. But man, it's bizarre. People are crazy, man. Crazy.
Why can't people just disagree and be
keep scrolling? Keep scrolling. Like, that's my deal. And that's our problem, I think, with society, is if we have a differing opinion, we can't just come to some type of agree to disagree type situation. It's hard to do that, I guess, over Instagram. I mean, you look at that last bear picture and it's got 10,000 comments and people just being nasty, and then some decent conversations going on in there. So, but it's bizarre.
And we're also still very early into this whole social media experiment. Like,
who knows?
I don't know. I mean, Facebook comments didn't look like they used to 5 years ago.
Nope.
Instagram comments 5 years ago, and I think I don't know. I feel like we're in this weird fluctuation where
it's scary.
Yeah, I'm almost kind of waiting for it to come back at some point where, like,
pendulum swings. Hey, we're going way too far this way. Let's come back this way.
Yeah, maybe
it does that in society. Hopefully, we keep saying that. Maybe that's our job as parents for the next generation, is like, hey, you see how ridiculous these people are? Don't do that. At some point it's like, hey, we got to tell people, hey, stop doing that. That's dumb. We can't always just be nice to our kids. Sometimes you got to go, hey, that's dumb. Yeah.
Well, looking back on your career, what are the moments that you think you're the most proud of when you think of all the success you've had?
Man, any of the team competitions, team wins, are probably more special to me. Just being able to share that with other people. I did get to share it with people as an individual, but being on a team and being on the floor and seeing the sacrifice people have made in and out, day in and day out, throughout the year, and then be able to share that with them on the floor, those team wins are pretty special.
Yeah.
Is there a moment that stands out? Like, I know we talked about this before, but I'm just always curious if, like, time or distance away, the conversations with the buddies and friends talking about, like, oh, you remember that? And
absolutely. There's flashes. I mean, from each individual feels like such a long time ago. Jumping into the crowd with that sea of pink was pretty cool. The final, double grace was cool. I vaguely remember the first team win, kind of out of surprise, was awesome. The final team win, just, having it kind of locked up, was pretty cool. There's a pretty cool video. Me and Hobart would talk about this pretty regularly. It's probably one of my cooler moments ever that probably hasn't been showcased. It was in the middle of an event on the soccer stadium, and Hobart needed chalk. And I chucked him some chalk right in the middle of the event. It was the toes to bar, or no, GHD muscle up. And then you had to, like, move all your stuff around the field. I think I still have the clip, but he kind of gives me one of these, and I just tossed him the chalk, hit him right in stride. It was perfect. So that's one of my cooler, probably. It was like a real sport memory. It was like, touchdown pass. I think if I can find it, I'll clip it and send it to you.
Or you're turning two, man.
I know it was kind of little, like, sidearm, little toss. So it was cool.
Who were the guys that brought out the best in you when you lined up against them?
Oh man, I think those Legends events are so much fun. Just getting out there with Josh and Dan and talking trash to Jason and everybody making fun of Jason. It's just, man, I miss it. It's just so easy too. You spiral them and get them a little self-conscious, and then you just, step on them. And so it's so funny. It's so good. It's fun getting those guys back together. Having Matt Chan, helped me and crewed with me at Leadville, so that was pretty special. It's fun. I'm trying to get both of them to do James and Chan to do Leadville with me. So, it's cool that those relationships have kind of lasted, kind of the test of time. Chan's really big into hunting, so we share some hunting stories pretty regularly, and it's cool. It's cool that, guys that were kind of so competitive with for years that now we're like, man, that was cool, and we can be friends.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And is planned, I assume, how many times do you want to do Leadville? Is it going to be a yearly occurrence, or is there any other races?
We do the Amarillo 24-hour race every year, and that was a ton of fun. This last year got rained out. But I think, Leadville, until I get bored with it, I think, there's kind of that, you get the big belt buckle and you get it 10 years in a row, you get a giant belt buckle. So
there you go.
Hillary didn't quite understand the draw of the belt buckle, but I think now she gets it, She's like, we can't just buy that thing on Etsy. I'm like, you gotta earn this thing. I'll never wear it, but it's in my sock drawer with the rest of my medals.
There you go.
That's why I compete at my hometown rodeo every year to try and win a belt buckle.
Man, it's hard to replace, man.
Yep.
What is, because we're recording this before Thanksgiving, but what is Thanksgiving like at the Froning house?
Oh man, so we morning is Hillary's family. We do kind of a breakfast thing there. Usually come back right after that about 9 or so. Try to hit some type of workout. I like to move every day. Lions are on. It's usually a family tradition to watch Lions lose, but hopefully this year.
Not this year, baby.
Not this year, baby. Man, No, I don't think it's Green Bay. I should know this. Is it Green Bay?
Yeah.
Okay. I was about to say, I thought it was, and then
Get ready, Packers.
I can't wait. Man. So, last year we got beat by Buffalo. It was a close game. Heartbreak, but as a Lions fan, you're used to heartbreak. So it's it'd be nice to get 2 wins in 5 days. So and then after that, usually it's about 2:30. We start Thanksgiving dinner. Dad does. Usually he does one infrared cooked kind of smoker and then one smoker turkey, and then just kind of free for all. I'm usually in charge of sweet potato casserole, usually with the candied nut top, no marshmallows.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe a little peanut butter mixed in with the sweet potatoes. It's pretty good.
All right.
A little honey peanut butter.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, this is a debate that we have kind of every year. Love for you to weigh in on it.
Okay.
When does Thanksgiving dinner become leftovers?
It's got to be the next day, right? Because you kind of eat them for lunch and then you eat them again for dinner. Because we do, like I said, that's like quasi 2 p.m. dinner or lunch dinner thing. And then at night, you'll definitely have some leftovers. So I would say Friday.
Oh, okay.
For the day after. Okay.
Day after. Yeah. I feel like you're still eating on the same food. But has it gone in the fridge yet?
See, that's the key for us. It's like,
all right, so if it's gone in all right, if it's gone in the fridge, I would call it a leftover.
Yep.
Right. If it's just sitting out.
If it's just sitting out, you're
It's
still
dinner.
Still dinner.
Has to be put in some sort of different vessel.
Correct.
Put in the fridge and removed again.
Yep.
That's
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic.
I would agree with that. with that.
See, now we're on the same page. Had to settle that.
Cool.
So
I agree.
Ooh, I do got one question. So Leadville, any interest in doing a
Nope, lost you. Do the run? Absolutely not. If that's what you went with.
Yeah, you're here.
Did you go with the run?
Yeah.
Man, my left knee, my femur would fuse to my tibia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't think I could walk it, but I don't think walking it's going to get you in time, and I don't like to not do it. So
Yeah.
for sure.
yeah. So mountain bike, man, what I like about mountain bike is it scratches that itch of a little bit of adrenaline, but also it's a pretty hefty endurance event.
Yeah.
And, it's almost like an interval type workout. And I don't lose a ton of weight. Like I like to still be if I need to do something sprinty, I can still do something sprinty. I feel like when you start drawing out like on your feet for that long, a marathon or anything like that, you lose some of that kind of fast twitches type stuff, where I like mountain biking, man. I can hit it like a zone 2, and then all of a sudden I got to sprint a hill or something like that. So that's where I made my money up last year was I'd pass a ton of people on the climbs, and then on technical descents, and then people would just hammer by me on the flats because I'm basically just a parachute. But it was fun.
Yeah, those lats catching a little extra.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Rich, we really appreciate you taking the time, man. Always a pleasure to talk to you, and
Appreciate
hope to
it,
see you
boys.
guys in person soon. Hope everything's going well at Mayhem. All the best to the family, and have a fantastic Thanksgiving, man.
Awesome. You guys too. Appreciate it. Go Lions.
Yep, go Lions.